Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking some absolutely massive shifts occurring across the artificial intelligence landscape right now as of August 10, 2026. We are looking at this wild collision of trends. On one hand, you have the rapid democratization of these incredibly powerful local AI models, and on the other, the very strict, very real rollout of new global regulations. Seriously, if you want to understand where the real power in tech is flowing today, this is exactly where you need to be looking.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the local AI revolution, deploying Muse Glimmer locally, Google reorganizing for AGI, the EU enforcing AI regulation, and finally, the cutting edge of AI. Let's just dive right in.
Section 1. The local AI revolution. So, we're kicking things off with Meta, and wow, they are making a wildly aggressive move right now to push powerful, agentic AI outward, directly onto your consumer devices. They're literally changing who gets to hold the keys to high-level computation. Meta Superintelligence Labs has just dropped a total bombshell on the open-source community, Muse Glimmer. It's an Apache 2.0 licensed, dense, multimodal model boasting an impressive 30 billion parameters. And look, 30 billion isn't just a random number here. It is a massive powerhouse designed to sit right on your desk, completely bypassing those expensive cloud subscriptions and API bottlenecks.
Because this is definitely not your average chatbot. We're talking about a highly sophisticated agent here. It actually implements tool failure recovery, which means if it tries to use a software tool and it fails, it doesn't just give up. It troubleshoots and tries again on its own. It's capable of chaining reasoning over long horizons. It handles interleaved text and images seamlessly, speaks over 100 languages, and is perfectly optimized for complex workflows like coding and document analysis. It's an absolute beast. And Mark Zuckerberg is out there actively championing this launch. He's calling it proof of their commitment to making AI for everyone. But, it's not just about altruism. He is explicitly framing these open-weight models as absolutely vital for American competitiveness on the global stage. It's a strategic move to define the foundational infrastructure of our future. All right, Section 2, deploying Muse Glimmer locally. Now you might be wondering, how do I actually run this? Let's look at the exact engineering and those all-important measurements that make this massive model accessible to you, the average power user. Out of the box, a 30 billion parameter model would eat up about 55 gigabytes of video RAM. That is for sure completely out of reach for a standard consumer GPU. But here's the real game changer. Through 4-bit quantization, the model's memory demands compress dramatically. We're talking down to just 18 to 20 gigabytes. That is a massive reduction, and it completely flips the script on who can actually run this technology. So, if you want to apply this new tech yourself, here are your detailed instructions. Step 1. Make sure you are utilizing that 4-bit quantized version of the model. Step 2, you need to provision a system that fits the model within a 24 to 32 gigabyte VRAM envelope that just gives you comfortable breathing room for your context windows and processing overhead. Step 3, simply run it locally on a single GPU, a PC, or a modern Mac. You can use day zero integrations that are already live right now, like plugging it directly into llama.cpp, VLLM, Llama, or LM Studio. Just like that, you're spinning up a world-class AI agent right on your own desk. Moving on, Section 3, Google reorganizes for AGI. Now, while Meta is pushing AI out to all of us, Google is kind of doing the exact opposite. They are pulling their forces inward to institutionalize and consolidate their power. DeepMind's Demis Hassabis is actually stepping away from day-to-day operations. Instead, he's zoning in purely on long-term artificial general intelligence strategy and major scientific breakthroughs. Make no mistake, Google is gearing up for the long war here. And a physical geographic shift here is wild. They're totally scrapping their historic transatlantic two-hub structure. Coding-related teams that were in London, they're packing up and relocating to Mountain View, California. Why? To consolidate their brain trust into one massive unified front so they can accelerate product competition directly against rivals like OpenAI and Anthropic. It's a huge centralization of talent.
Which brings us to Section 4, EU enforces AI regulation.
So, we've talked corporate maneuvering, but what about the law? As of August 2nd, the enforcement phase of the sweeping EU AI Act is officially active. If you're running high-risk AI in the EU, providers are now legally bound to maintain detailed system logs and run continuous post-market monitoring. Plus, for the really massive foundation models, specifically the 8 models exceeding 10 to the 25th flops, you now have to submit mandatory monthly systematic risk evaluations. Oh, and transparency and copyright rules? Those now apply to all general-purpose models, big or small. And the timeline for compliance here is honestly incredibly tight. If a serious incident happens, companies are mandated to follow a rapid 15-day reporting requirement. You have exactly 2 weeks and a day to investigate, document, and submit a formal report to national authorities. You know the old days of quietly patching a massive AI failure behind closed doors? Yeah, those days are legally over in Europe.
And you definitely don't want to ignore this because the financial penalties are severe. We're talking maximum fines for systemic risk violations hitting 15 million euros or an astonishing 3% of a company's global annual turnover, whichever is higher. For tech giants, 3% of global revenue is just an astronomical figure. It guarantees compliance is going to be a board-level priority.
But here's the real kicker that has a lot of developers scrambling right now. These general-purpose AI transparency and copyright obligations, they are completely retroactive. They apply even to pre-existing models released prior to August 2025. You can't just grandfather in your old tech. If it's operating in the EU today, it has to be brought up to the brand new compliance standards. No exceptions. Finally, Section 5, the cutting edge of AI.
Let's put all the puzzle pieces together here. We've covered a lot of ground today. The landscape right now is defined by this deep, fascinating dichotomy. On one side, we have decentralization, with Meta democratizing access by pushing consumer-grade local deployment. On the flip side, centralization, right? Google consolidating its AI operations into California to build AGI. And hovering over the whole shebang is institutionalization, with the EU AI Act enforcing strict, legally binding rules and massive fines. So what does this all mean for us? It leaves us with a huge, defining question. As corporate control consolidates in California and global regulations tighten up in Brussels, will the rapid deployment of powerful local models be enough to keep the future of AI in the hands of the individual? It's a massive tug-of-war between the edge and the center, and whoever wins is going to dictate the next decade of technology.
Subscribe to AI Vanguard AI to stay at the cutting edge of industrial AI. Thumbs up if you found this synthesis valuable. Please like, comment, and share. We're going to keep tracking these massive shifts to bring you the structured insights you need. Thanks for learning with us on this explainer today, and we'll see you next time.